On its tropical western coast lies Cameroon, a nation of diverse cultures, where traditions of old sit side by side with the new. Art, in all its vibrant and eccentric forms, is at the heart of its people, while extraordinary ingenuity and hard work drive the country forward. This is Cameroon from above. Nestled in the heart of the continent, Cameroon is bordered by 6 countries, making the nation a crossroads between Western and Central Africa. This journey travels counterclockwise, starting on the coast, moving inland to the capital, before heading to the far north and finishing in the country's western region. The first stop is Cameroon's largest city, Douala. Resting on the banks of the Vouri River, it's the nation's busiest port, handling the majority of its exports. Growing by almost 5% a year, 3 million people live here, 20% of Cameroon's entire population. Over 3/4 of the nation's industries are also based here. And the city is under constant construction. From new bridges crossing the Vouri to upgrading the sprawling road system. Helping to support this mass urbanization is one valuable yet ubiquitous commodity: sand. It's a vital ingredient in the construction industry and makes up to 85% of all mineral extraction. Loading the sand for transport is an arduous job, but mining it is even harder. In the Vouri, the method of collecting sand hasn't changed for centuries, and it takes place away from the safety of dry land. Petit Mpome is one of Cameroon's underwater sand miners. Depending on the current and seasonal changes, the best sandbanks can often build up right in the middle of the river. Now 41, Petit has been working these waters since he was 18 years old and knows where to find the top spots. Cameroon's miners often work alone. A wooden pole is all that holds the canoe in place. And Petit's mining tool of choice, a bucket. The nation's sand miners' greatest asset is their physical and mental strength to go it alone in the murky waters of the Vouri.
Le travail en lui-même, c'est quelque chose de très difficile. Mais ce que je ressens en fait est un sentiment de liberté. Étant déjà dans l'eau, libre comme l'air, vous voyez rien autour de moi, c'est juste de l'eau.
Petit is diving for a particular kind of sand.
Moi, je fais dans le sable tranchant. Il sert à frapper des parpaings et à élever les murs.
The Vouri begins at the confluence of 2 other rivers, It's the mix of different silts from these three waterways that creates the coarseness that is so valuable to the building industry. Petite has no support. Misjudging the tide or anchors coming loose could be fatal. It's a dangerous, grueling job, but the sand miners of Cameroon provide the key ingredient needed for this growing nation.
C'est pour cela que tout ce bon monde, vous voyez, les maisons et partout là, on a besoin de nous les sableurs. Je suis fier de ce que j'ai fait. Je suis un sableur, je suis fier.
Sand miners are helping to build modern-day Cameroon. But this coastal region also boasts tens of thousands of hectares of lowland forest. This lush canopy harbors many of the country's primates. The treetops are a crucial habitat for stunning species like the eastern black and white colobus and collared mangabeys, while the forest floor is the realm of the vulnerable mandrills. Cameroon is an important home for many primates. But as the human population grows, conflict with wildlife is a very real problem. Human encroachment on the forest is pushing much of Cameroon's wildlife to the brink of extinction. Thankfully, further along the coast in Limbe, people are fighting to protect their neighbors. The Limbe Wildlife Center has been rescuing and rehabilitating wildlife for nearly 30 years. Hundreds of animals currently reside in the sanctuary, including 15 different types of primate. All have one thing in common. They're victims of the illegal wildlife trade. Limbe Wildlife Center gives them a second chance. Thanks to dedicated staff who go above and beyond, like Alvin Muma. He's responsible for looking after one of the nation's most striking residents, mandrills. They're among Africa's rarest primates. Just 3,000 are left in the wild, 80% of which live in Cameroon. The center gives young Cameroonians the chance to enter the world of conservation.
As I was growing up, I used to attend the Saturday Nature Club here in Limbe Wildlife Center. So slowly I started to develop that interest for conservation. I say to myself, maybe when I'll be done with school, then I'll have to come here to work with animals.
Alvin has now been working here for 5 years. Providing sanctuary is just one part of Limbe Wildlife Center's mission. Engaging communities is also key.
Communities, actually, they are the one bearing the conservation body. So we need to have empathy, not only because of the animals, but also the people involved.
Limbe Wildlife Center's Community Green Project is both helping local communities and primates alike.
This Batoke community were the ex-hunters. These people were one killing animals in the forest. So we asked them to use their forest, get those leaves, they supply to the center, and then we pay them. And these green leaves, they're important to the animals too. They have health benefit, like cassava leaves. There's carbohydrate, there's vitamin, like ginger plant we give to the gorillas. They are medicinal and also help for digestion.
It's not just adult monkeys that need protecting. The centre also cares for one very special resident. This orphaned drill is only a few weeks old and will need to be hand-reared.
Whenever I'm with the baby, I always put myself in the position of a mother. So whatever I'm doing with the baby, I'm like kind of training. I want to nurse something in his mind. In the forest, the mother will do the same, so the baby will understand that, oh, when you have this, you have to open like this. You know that you have to eat leaves. Even when I was doing it, you see the baby will come and also want to put in his mouth. So it's actually trying to copy whatever I'm doing.
Once this tiny monkey becomes strong enough, Alvin will introduce it to other drills, providing companionship. As Cameroon's urban population grows, habitat loss is a major threat. But the centre is working towards a primate release scheme, collaborating with national parks to create safe wild habitats for reintroduction. A 140 kilometers south, the urban landscape of the Douala region makes way for a wild and spectacular stretch of coastline. The coastal region is adorned with idyllic beaches, framed by enchanting forests. Cameroon's largest river, the Sanaga, also drains into the ocean here at the mighty Lobe Falls. These waterfalls are one of only 3 in Africa to flow directly into the sea. And further upstream, the Sanaga River has created another natural wonder. Lake Ossa, one of the largest lakes in Cameroon. At first glance, it looks like an expansive and pristine habitat. Yet there is a blight on this lake, sapping its wildlife. Aristide Takukam Kamla from the African Marine Mammal Conservation Organization is tackling this problem head-on. From above, the issue is striking.
In 2016, we started experiencing this invasive aquatic plant species called Salvinia molesta. It's an aquatic fern that floats at the surface of the water and can multiply double in biomass every 10 days. And that species has a tremendous impact on the ecological and social aspect of this lake.
Blanketing much of the lake, it's suffocating the fish the local community rely on. These waters are also home to a rare species of manatee. Around the world, there are 3 different kinds of these aquatic mammals, living in both fresh and salt water. But Cameroon's species, the West African manatee, has become so elusive that they have never been filmed in Lake Ossa. Their numbers initially declined because of poaching, but with the species now protected under law, their greatest threat is Salvinia. The invasive weed overwhelms the plants the gentle mammals feed on. Now, Aristide and AMCO have come up with ways to combat this invasion.
AMCO is using 2 methods to get rid of Salvinia. We're working with the local community to organize a removal campaign where we take off the Salvinia from the lake and then we transform it into ecological charcoal that the community could use it for personal use or they could sell it.
It's easy to see how this method has a direct impact on the Salvinia, but also importantly engages communities.
We removed so far more than 400 tons of salvinia, but still this is nothing compared to the multiplication rate of the plants, since it's double every 10 days and we're not able to keep the removal at that pace.
Their solution is cunning. A biological weapon. The Salvinia weevil.
Through the support of the Louisiana State University, who gave us the weevil, and we imported them here, and then we mass rear them, meaning that we multiply the weevil so that they will be able to feed on the salvinia.
At the moment, the plan is in the early stages of controlled lab work, but the results are promising.
We were able to show how the weevil feeds specifically on the plant and only the plant, and that they are very effective at destroying salcombe.
They may not have implemented this biological weapon yet, but this tactic is a tried and tested method.
Take the case of Senegal, for example. They were facing the same issue, and in only 1 year or so, they were able to get rid of the salvinia.
Ridding the lake of Salvinia would help the species Aristide loves most.
My passion is first curiosity, because I really want to dive into the secret world of manatees. You know, they are a real mystery that I would like to unveil. And the second thing is this passion to protect this animal. I want them to survive. They deserve to live.
Aristide is deploying drones and sound recording tech to find out more about the elusive mammals. And this method gets results. From above, these plumes of mud from a manatee moving along the lake's floor give the team a glimpse of the aquatic species. This rare sighting shows there is still hope for the West African manatee in Cameroon. Cameroon has a long history of people living alongside nature. And as the world develops, this relationship is becoming strained. Forests are great natural resources, attracting logging companies from around the world. These hugely profitable industries are taking away the traditional lands of one of Cameroon's most ancient groups, the Pygmies. Having lived in harmony with nature for a millennia, these people are now losing their home to logging companies. Where they once had thousands of square kilometers of forest to gather food and water, they now have makeshift villages which lack basic infrastructure. But an ambitious project is aiming for dramatic change. Deep in the jungle is the Waka village. Barbara Guasson and the team at Waka Water are working with locals to implement an amazing vision of the future.
La vision de Waka Village, c'est de créer un village qui va contenir plusieurs communautés. Pas seulement les pygmées, mais toutes personnes qui sont vulnérables, qui sont dans des conditions vraiment difficiles.
Providing fresh water was a key challenge at the heart of the mission. The solution is the Waka Tower. Designed to collect water out of the atmosphere, just one tower can provide 150 litres a day. It's a low-cost, environmentally friendly way of supporting entire communities.
On a 3 Waka Towers On a la première qui est construite il y a quelques temps déjà. On a 2 autres qui sont en train d'être construites pour qu'il ne puisse pas avoir de manque d'eau potable dans la communauté.
Only 65% of Cameroon's population have access to clean drinking water. But the clever concept behind the Waka Tower means there'll be plenty for everyone here. Using local sustainable bamboo, a frame supports a simple but effective system of nets. Rain, fog and dew condense against the mesh, trickling down into a reservoir at its base.
Nous avons utilisé que des matériaux qui sont naturels. On a la terre, on a le bambou de raffia, on a du bois qui est naturel aussi. Donc on ne veut pas que les communautés pygmées ou les autochtones puissent sortir de leur univers. On veut qu'ils soient intégrés toujours dans la nature et qu'ils ne soient pas dissociés de leur style de vie naturel.
Once complete, the village will boast the key infrastructure needed to support over 100 people. And by using sustainable natural building materials and construction methods, entire communities will be able to live in perfect harmony with their environment for generations to come.
Notre vision, c'est de pouvoir créer un espace économique, un espace culturel, un espace artisanal pour qu'ils puissent avoir eux-mêmes des ressources pour pouvoir vivre. Donc on voudrait aussi montrer comment vivre dans la nature est très très important pour l'être humain. Il faut ramener tout ce qu'on a laissé dans le passé pour pouvoir mieux vivre dans le futur.
A 160 kilometers from Lake Ossa lies the central region of Mfundi. Here, there's another mission to engage communities. But this fight is to keep one of the nation's fading traditions alive. Pierre Bala is one of Cameroon's last great storytellers. The art form has a long history in rural villages. And to this day, there is a strong link to nature. Raffia palm stems form the backbone of a rare African instrument called an mvet. And Pierre likes to make his own. As a traditionalist, everything is handcrafted. No nails, screws or glue are used. With more conventional instruments like guitars being mass-produced, Cameroon's mvet players are a dying breed. Few still know how to build them. And with every mvet made by hand, no two are the same. Each piece has its own feel and sound, and for Pierre, the instrument transcends music.
Mvet, ça veut dire s'envoler. L'homme va s'envoler avec son esprit. Le joueur de mvet, il voyage et il va voir d'autres sphères, rencontrer tout ce qu'il peut rencontrer et venir dire ça au peuple.
The mvet is just one part of the Cameroon storytelling tradition. A bark cloth outfit, known as an oboum, is also essential.
Mon nom d'artiste est Zikoko International #1. Zikoko est l'effrayeur des effrayeurs. Donc c'est lui qui effraie ceux qui effrayent.
For Pierre, dressing for his performance is a ceremony and celebration in itself.
Quand je porte mon oboum, quand je porte mon chapeau en plume, quand j'emmène ma africanité, ce n'est que du bonheur.
Even with multiple forms of media vying for the eyes and ears of Cameroonians, this master storyteller still garners a loyal audience. To connect with the crowd, Pierre's stories are not stuck in the past, but contain current and humorous elements to keep the tradition relevant. Above all, audience participation is a must.
Je constate avec amertume que les enfants de ce village qui ont 18 ans ne travaillaient plus assez comme nous on travaillait quand on était avant.
Here, storytelling is very much alive, but this tradition is becoming more rare.
J'ai appris le conte à la maison avec ma grand-mère, c'est-à-dire elle contait des histoires et avec un autre grand-père qui me racontait aussi des histoires. Au fur et à mesure que le temps passait, je voyais les contes disparaître. On ne racontait plus au village.
Pierre has taken on the mantle and dedicated his life to keeping Cameroon's storytelling alive. Just a short distance from this rural village, forests make way for the nation's capital, Yaoundé. First inhabited by the Pygmies, the region was later split between French and British colonies before Cameroon finally won its independence in the 1960s. Now, 4 million people call this sprawling urban hub home. Its centre has some of the country's most impressive architecture in the Art Deco style of the 70s independence era. As the day begins, one Yaoundé resident is starting her morning routine. Living on her own at just 17, Brenda Tabe has a determination that belies her age. She's one of Cameroon's rising football stars.
Presently, I'm playing with our football club. I was the second highest goal scorer with 17 goals scored, and we're champions of the Guinness Super League.
After finishing up her homework, she must get to the training ground on foot. Juggling football and education is a daily battle for Brenda.
I just passed my advanced level with economic, English and French. I can't leave my academics just because of football. I just have to mix all of the two together.
But once she arrives, it's clear to see her talent for Cameroon's most popular sport.
Girls should be encouraged to play football because what a man can do, a woman can do it maybe better. Sometimes, let me say, in the cadet national team, when we play with the boys club, we used to beat them maybe 3-0. We love doing it, and it is our passion.
She's already played at international level as part of Cameroon's under-20 squad. But Brenda isn't just focused on playing sport.
I'm looking forward to continue school to university so that I can do banking and management. Apart from that, I really want to be coach one day in the future, to encourage the young female footballers, to inspire them and assist them in my own way.
Brenda's already imagining a better future, but optimism isn't exclusive to the country's cities. 560 kilometers away from Yaoundé is the remote wilderness of the north. Here, in the Benue National Park, the landscape couldn't be more different to the hustle and bustle of the capital. Vast, humid savanna woodland stretches over 1,800 square kilometers. The area is a designated UNESCO reserve and one of Cameroon's most vital habitats. It's also one of the final strongholds for the Kordofan giraffe. With only 2,000 left in the wild, this rare subspecies is critically endangered. Their range is limited to only 4 Central African countries. These are among some of the most politically unstable regions on the planet, making conservation and law enforcement particularly challenging. In Benue, the abundant vegetation attracts illegal cattle herders, leading to severe overgrazing, leaving little for the wildlife. In recent years, large mammals have drastically declined, and Benue has reached a tipping point. But it's not too late. A team of conservationists from Bristol Zoological Society are collaborating with Cameroonian NGO Sekako on a joint mission to preserve this vital habitat and its wildlife. By heavily ramping up the deployment of rangers and targeting destructive illegal activities. Funding the deployment of eco-guards to target illegal activity will be key. To ensure boots on the ground are effective, they must first identify and track the movements of the park's giraffes. Camera traps in such a vast area are ineffective. So the team and their partners at Bristol University are pioneering an innovative system using drone technology. A bird's eye view makes it easy to find large species. But to identify the well-camouflaged Kordofan giraffe, they need another tool: thermal imaging. Warm-blooded mammals give off a distinctive heat signature against Benue's dense woodland. And one telltale silhouette is exactly what the team have been searching for: a family of Kordofan giraffes. A juvenile in the group is proof that this rare species is still reproducing here in Benue National Park. This visionary project is demonstrating the benefits of combining the forces of technology and conservation. In the future, autonomous drones will perform routine aerial surveys, identifying where patrol and conservation efforts are needed. Ensuring this vital sanctuary is preserved and these magnificent giants have a future in Cameroon. "500 kilometers southwest of Benue National Park is the town of Batoufam. Cameroon's largest ethnic group, the Bamileke, live in this western region. Originally stemming from Africa's grassland people, they now form many different groups based in the northwestern region of the country. Each Bamileke town identifies as its own kingdom. King Neyang Tukam has been ruling Batoufam for the last 32 years. his role is not just a ceremonial one. He's in charge of all the town's vital political matters.
C'est mon rôle d'organiser la vie socio-culturelle, économique des Batoufam. Je joue ce rôle de distributeur, de répartiteur, et même du travail, et même des fruits des travaux à chacun de mes membres. J'assure l'épanouissement total des Batoufam.
Bamileke culture focuses on hierarchy and respect for the king. Masquerades are often performed in his honor. These energetic dances are a visual display of the reverence held for their king.
C'est la diversité des cultures qui fait élever ce monde. Et comme nous voulons un monde planétaire, il faut donc qu'il y ait plusieurs, où chacun va donner le meilleur de soi-même. Et c'est mon rôle, c'est notre devoir aujourd'hui, de la mettre, cette culture, en évidence pour qu'ils sachent que nous avons quelque chose de bien à Batoufam.
Just 20 kilometers from the kingdom, one building beautifully combines Bamileke culture and contemporary art. Much of the nation's artwork was stolen during colonial rule. So renowned artist Barthélemy Tugoo founded the Banjul Station to promote local artists. Thierry Foumene is one of the artists taking up residence here.
C'est un espace où on trouve une certaine quiétude, une paix intérieure. Et pour l'artiste que je suis, c'est un espace qui a une énergie positive où créer semble simplement être comme une cerise sur le gâteau. Je dirais que ce qui particularise, à mon avis, Banjul Station, justement, c'est qu'au-delà d'être un centre d'art contemporain, c'est une œuvre d'art. Et en tant que telle, une œuvre d'art est unique.
Thierry is using his time to research and script a film. Many other artists have benefited from the support of the station, allowing contemporary art to blossom in Cameroon and gain exposure to the rest of the world. Cameroon's western region has some of the nation's most fertile land. It's a patchwork of farmland and fields, with the city of Bafoussam acting as its financial powerhouse. Despite its significance, roads leading up to the urban centre are often no more than dirt tracks. And like any big city, congestion is part of everyday life. But there's one road user who has a radical solution. Motorcycle mechanic Emmanuel Wembe.
Il y a les endroits que les voitures n'arrivent pas, parce que la route est tellement gâtée. Les voitures n'y vont pas, il n'y a que les motos qui y vont.
Being lighter and more maneuverable, biking makes sense. But the small vehicles are limited to only a couple of passengers. Emmanuel, however, is on a mission to design a motorbike like no other. Eccentric ingenuity is the core philosophy in this workshop. That and hardcore metalwork. Extending the wheelbase, expanding the swing arm, and adding shock absorbers transforms a run-of-the-mill motorcycle into this. It's like a limousine on two wheels. And the only way to see if it makes the grade is to hit the road. Emmanuel's extraordinary creation can fit 9. It's at home on the roads, but the real test lies beyond the beaten track. This is what Emmanuel's creations were born for.
Dans le bourbier, dans les trous, sur les cailloux, c'est plus approprié s'il y a des motos.
For small farm owners, Emmanuel and his machine are a lifeline. His two-wheeled creations are able to get to those who are too remote for conventional vehicles, allowing their goods to be sold in the city. Even with a full load and passengers, this motorcycle is more nimble than run-of-the-mill trucks.
Ça donne beaucoup d'avantages aux mamans que nous rencontrons dans les champs. Parce que les routes qui vont aux champs ne sont pas très bien. C'est ça qui m'a aussi motivé.
"40 kilometers northeast is another kingdom of Western Cameroon and one of the nation's oldest cities, Fumban. The urban settlement is the cultural heart of the Bamoun Kingdom, an African state founded in 1394. Despite European nations occupying the country right up until the 1960s, this kingdom has always managed to maintain its culture. Effectively a state within a state, the kingdom has its own ruler and political system. In 1917, the Bamoun Kingdom converted to Islam, changing the leader's title from king to sultan. Fumban is renowned as a creative center. Its Njinka district is home to a very traditional art form. Abubakar Betkon comes from a long line of bronze casters.
On appelle Fumban une cité des arts. Comme métier, presque tout le monde fait dans l'art.
His work starts with a simple mix of cow dung and clay. From this, Abubakar can shape the basic form of his subject. As a practitioner of lost wax mold casting, the next step is key. This ancient technique and natural ingredient is the secret which defines the work of Fumban's bronze casters. The malleable wax layer allows Abubakar to sculpt more refined features and etch the minutest of details, bringing the piece to life. Delicately adding another layer of clay, the wax beneath creates a negative print within. The final steps use the most costly materials. A mix of copper, tin, and other metals are melted together to create bronze. The molten metal melts the wax imprint within, meaning every bronze cast is truly one of a kind. Cracking the outer layer of clay is the moment of truth. Finally, Abubakar can admire the results of the craft he learned from his father.
Quand je crée un objet, je finis mon objet, je suis satisfait. Je suis fier que si mon papa ne m'avait pas appris cela, c'est que je ne saurais quoi faire. Donc j'aime mon métier.
Using this 1,000-year-old technique, Abubakar is able to make pieces both large and small. Despite their long history in the city, the bronze casters of Fumban are becoming a rarity.
Maintenant, je n'apprends pas à mon enfant parce que d'abord, notre matière première devient de plus en plus chère. Je pense qu'au fur et à mesure que le temps passe, ça augmente plutôt, ça ne baisse pas. À la longue, dans le temps à venir, il ne pourra pas trop s'en sortir.
With the art form in danger of fading away, every one of Abubakar's pieces immortalized the legacy of Fumban's famous bronze casters. The royal family of Bamoun provide a deep connection with the region's cultural heritage. Today, in a huge ceremony, a new sultan will be enthroned. To celebrate the occasion, a Bamoun welcoming party is underway. Government officials and delegates from around the world are all in attendance. And at the center of everything, a one-of-a-kind throne awaits. Royal aides corral the crowds in anticipation of the new sultan. Nabil Mbombo Njoya, the first son of the late Ibrahim Mbombo Njoya, who served for 20 years. Having studied in Yaoundé and in the United States, he will now dedicate the rest of his life to being the custodian of the Bamoun culture. Surrounded by the elders of the Bamoun kingdom, the new sultan takes his throne. Throwing the traditional sa to the crowd is his first act as a monarch. Although he'll have to work closely with the Republic of Cameroon, Nabil Mbombo Njoya will be in control of a sizable kingdom and more than 2 million subjects. The enthronement hails the start of a new era for the Bamoun people, and stands as another testimony to the strength of Cameroon's cultural heritage. From a newly crowned leader to an elder statesman, traditions of old are still thriving. Art, too, in all its diverse forms, honors the country's heritage, making sure traditions never die. While ingenuity is solving modern-day issues and conservation protecting wild residents, Cameroon is striving for a bright future in the vast continent of Africa.